Welcome to the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library's Money Smart Week series of programs. Tonight, small business finance and capital. Where do I begin? I'm your host, Mark Engelbrecht. Tonight's special speaker is Lindsay Mueller. Lindsay is a small business and nonprofit strategist with over 20 years of experience in advising, coaching, and training entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders. Lindsay works for the Women's Business Development Center in Chicago, where she advises women entrepreneurs on how to scale their services for growth by getting ready to access capital, discover new markets, and streamline operations. Tonight, she will introduce business financial documents that will give you the tools you need to access capital in the future. Also highlighted will be many of the free small business resources available from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. We will be taking questions. Feel free to submit those in the chat. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay. Lindsay, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Mark. And good evening, everyone. Today, I'm so thrilled to join you to talk about small business finances, capital, and let you know how you can get started. Because what I find so often is the hardest part about running your business and trying to figure out what to do with your finances is figuring out where we begin. So I have a presentation here for you today, Small Business Finances and Capital. Where do I begin? Today is April 18th, 2023, and we are going to walk you through this process. Just a reminder, you can put comments in the chat. We'll ask questions right at the end. And if I grab any comments, if I see any ahead of time, I'll try to address them as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about building credit, your small business financials, accessing capital, and letting you know about some resources locally that you can go to that will help you with your start. So here, introduction and overview. Again, my name is Lindsay Mueller. I come to you today from Chicago, Illinois. In this workshop, my hope is that you will improve your ability to access capital for your small business by understanding strategies to build your credit, prepare for financing, and building relationships with lenders and community resources. Throughout this presentation and into the question and answer session, my goal is for you to learn the importance of financial management, prioritizing building your credit, and finding out about various funding options and resources available for small businesses in your area in Charlotte. As a result, I'm really hoping that you're going to feel better equipped to grow and sustain your small business. So let's get started. Let's put you in the place of a small business owner who is ready to access capital. I am looking for money for my business, whether it's to grow your business, whether it's to access financing to buy something for your store or to buy merchandise, to buy a new oven, to bake something. You are about to walk into a bank and ask for a loan. What do you think is going to happen next? Well, here we go. This is what's going to happen next. You're going to sit down and a banker is going to ask you, please tell me, well, what is your credit score? Can you please tell me your P&L statement? Do you have a balance sheet? I'm going to need you to perhaps provide a cash flow statement. Have you ever banked with us before? I am going to need your last 4 years of tax returns. How much money are you looking to borrow? How long have you been in business? Do you have any collateral? We don't take that kind of collateral. What about some other type of collateral? Do you need the money quickly? Oh, are you looking for equity financing? We don't. About the past 2 years of your bank statements. If anybody has been in that sort of situation before, you know how overwhelming it can be to be in that situation where you're just getting barraged with questions and you're looking to figure out, where do I even begin? So let's start here. One of the things I want you to think about is whether you're accessing capital or not, whether you're looking for a loan or not, I want you to really think about it as an anchor to the future, because the best time to get a loan for your business is 2 years from now. I know it seems crazy because oftentimes when you need money, you need it right away. And that is really hard to do. So you need to be planning 2 years in the future for getting that potential loan. So today we're going to take a look at those questions, and we'll try to address most of those by getting your business finances ready for 2 years from now, when you're probably going to be seeking a loan. And whether you actually seek that loan or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to be in a better place because of the steps you're going to take today. So starting here, there are 4 things I want you to do to get you started on the step towards success. First, we have to separate your business and personal finances. And we'll go a little bit into that in a bit. Second, I need you to commit to building your personal credit. 3, I need you to set up and track your business financial statements. And 4, I want you to know about the various options that are out there for accessing capital. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. But all throughout, I want you to know that you have, as a small business owner, a team of individuals, of organizations that are out there to support you, that you are not alone in this. I work with entrepreneurs day in and day out. I've taught hundreds of them over my past 10 years of working one-on-one with small businesses in Chicago and across the Midwest. And I can tell you the number one concern I get from individuals is, I feel like I'm alone in this. How do I move forward? And I think no matter what you come out of this, if you come out with the idea of, I'm not alone, I have a team, we'll get you that team by the end of this time here. That would be the best thing we could possibly come away with. So 4 steps to success. Let's go into it. Step 1, I want you to separate your personal and business finances. Now, why should we be separating your personal and business finances? This is very, very common. If you don't do this right now, if you're out there selling your wares and you are having money come into your personal bank account and not getting separated out, that's okay. A lot of people are in that situation, but they don't realize it is a problem and it needs to be remedied. This is your first step to getting a loan, is separating your personal and business finances. And why? Because boundaries. We have to set up boundaries. As a business owner, it's crucial to understand the importance of separating these personal and business finances. There's many different reasons, but I highlighted 3 here. 3 that are most important to me as a business advisor. First is legal compliance. There's this thing called piercing the corporate veil, which I'm not an attorney, but I will tell you it's trouble. You do not want to have your business and personal finances together. It's pretty easy to set up a bank account. Let's just do that, and let's start funneling your money over to the business side of those finances. Easier accounting is going to be much, much easier for you down the long run to do your taxes, to set up other bank accounts that you may need. And third, it builds your credibility. Having an invoice set up that comes from your business and not your personal bank account, that is going to look different. And you want to be seen as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. And so the best way to do that is to separate your finances. I could probably say this until the cows come home, but I want you to hear it. So keep it separate. How do we do this? You're going to see these throughout. 3 steps that you can take here. First, just open a separate bank account. There are online bank accounts where you can go that will be set up. You just need, if you're an LLC or an S Corp, you need your business entity name. I'm sure they do it for sole proprietors as well. And then set it up as if it is a bank account. It's going to help you track those business expenses, set everything automatically through there, pay your business bills through there. Get that all running. If you do nothing else, that is crucial and a great way to move forward. Second is, if you can, or if you're interested in really thinking about setting up some accounting software, how are you tracking your expenses? How are you creating those invoices? There are digital tools out there that can help you do that. Things like QuickBooks, Xero, Wave, Soho. Now, I'm going to warn you here, if you're a new business and you're not making any money just yet, do not invest in these tools yet, because they are oftentimes expensive and we do not need to spend money where there is no money to spend. So use tools that are already accessible to you. I love to use Excel to track my business expenses because I don't have that many. It makes a lot of sense to be able to use that tool that's already there, tracking in and out. And then third, just getting ready to talk to a pro, having a financial advisor or an accountant who can provide guidance on how you separate these accounts. They can also support you through those tax planning and financial management. Taxes are tough. Happy tax day, by the way, which is today, 2023 tax day. This is on our minds a lot lately. You want to make sure that this is easy for you to do, easy for you to pay your taxes. And so a pro will help you do that, but they need some sort of accounting software and they need you to separate your business and personal banks. So let's start with one and then you can move to the other two. Just a little pro tip here. Anyone who works with me knows that I adore books. Of course, the library is supporting this one. So I would highly suggest you check out Profit First. It's a book that you can find in your library. And it's a really interesting way that tells you how you can set up your bank account so that your profit is coming first. I usually have the book on me here, but I don't at the moment. So Profit First, great resource, easily checked out. All right, so step 2, we're going to move right along here. We are building your credit. Now, there are some misnomers here when it comes to credit. If I start a business, isn't my business its own credit? Shouldn't it be building its own credit? Yes, but the problem is that it takes a while to build up your business credit. So for a long time, when you start up your business, your personal credit is your business credit. So the stronger your personal credit is, the stronger your business credit is, which means then you will be able to access capital a lot easier. So what you want to do is you want to stay on top of that credit. So because these are linked, you want to make sure you have this good credit score. Your personal credit is your business credit. You're going to get better loan terms, better rates, and you will go to less banks to try and find out if they're going to give you money or not, which means less hard inquiries on your credit score, which does affect it. So I do think here, next, understanding your score. This is what is most important about your score that I see time and again. Your score is important. It can be checked. And I put 3 credit report sites down at the bottom here. Credit Karma, Credit Scorecard, and annualcreditreport.com. Don't Google check my credit score because you will likely pull someone up who's going to charge you for it. You can do this for free. Do not pay to check your credit score. What you want to do is you want to check it regularly. I know the WBDC says check it monthly. I check it quarterly. You want to make sure that those bills are actually being paid on time. And you're checking for that too to make sure there's no discrepancies based on what you know and what the credit report is saying. And you want to check your utilization because paying bills and credit utilization takes up the largest chunks of your credit score. And this is going to be really important when you're going for a loan. Bankers are going to look at, okay, how much credit do they have to their name and how much of that credit are they actually using? If you're using a lot of that credit available to you, they're going to be a little hesitant to give you more because they're going to start worrying, are they actually going to pay it back? I'm not sure. And then if you pay bills on time, they're going to know, okay, this person regularly pays bills on time. I don't have to worry about them paying back the loan that I may give them one day. So when you're thinking about step 2 and really improving your credit score, these are some things you're going to want to check out and really think about as you're moving forward and looking at your score. So I am just like zooming through these. We'll be able to answer lots of questions at the end. Please feel free to put comments in if you have any comments or questions. I see that the link up here for Profit First is there. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm a big fan of that book myself. So step 3, set up and track your business financials. So this is where it becomes really complicated, and I don't want you to stress about this too much because there are 3 main financial statements. Pretty much any organization that you work with like a free SBDC, which we'll get into the end, what they do. They will give you lots of resources. They will teach you, train you on what financial statements are. But the first thing you have to do is even know they exist and know how they can help your business. So here, what I want you to know is these are 3 financial statements that you can use to tell you about your business. So when we're thinking about all the things that we have to do to get ready for the loan in 2 years from now, first, we have to separate our personal business finances. Second, we have our credit. And third, we have to know how to move through the cash flow, or how to have these financial statements and what they can do for our business. What you want to do here is really be thinking about what here do you have currently and what do you need to be starting right now. So if you use one of those QuickBooks, Xero, Zoho, Wave, those sorts of digital tools that support your business and your financial statements and whatnot, they will automatically pull in income statements and balance sheets from what is coming in and what is going out. So you can use this to learn about these 2 areas here. So let me back up and let's explain what each of these are. First is a cash flow statement. This is a great place to start, and I'm going to give you a resource for this in a minute. It's going to tell you where your cash is coming from, where it is going, and where it's staying. So I'll show you an example of this in just a minute. The second part is your income statement. Your income statement tells sales are going up and down. It tells you your gross profit, which is how much money is left in the rest of your business after deducting what it costs to produce or purchase your product. It tells you expenses for the time period it covers. It tells you how much money is left to grow the business, how much money is left for the owners, how much is left to pay debt. But it won't show you your overall condition, like being weak or strong. That's what number 3, the balance sheet, is for. It won't tell you what's tied up in accounts receivable or account payable, so the money that's owed to you or the money that you owe to others. And it won't tell you about your assets, what you own, and your liabilities, what you owe. And I'm just realizing under the balance sheet, it says what you own and what you own again, which is incorrect. We'll go over that next. So the balance sheet here with number 3, it highlights what you own and what you owe. So what you own is assets. What you owe, O-W-E here, are your liabilities. It's going to tell you the net value of your business. It's going to tell you how much of your loan debt is current and how much is out there to be paid. It's going to give you percentages and ratios necessary to analyze your business. You can build in KPIs or key performance indicators about your business. It's going to compare 2 times next to it. A balance sheet is taking a snapshot of where we are today. And you can even go back to what was the snapshot a year from today? How is this comparing? What is interesting about how I'm spending money this year versus how I spent money last year? And you can think and use that to possibly even project out, okay, how will this change over the year ahead? So it won't tell you over a period of time itself. It will give you that snapshot, this time this year, this time last year, or whatever that comparison may be. It's not going to tell you too much about your assets. It won't tell you like your market value of your assets. It won't tell you the quality of your assets. You know, if you have a computer, which you consider an asset, it's not going to be like, hey, it's kind of a few years old. Like it's not that great right now. It's not going to tell you that. It's just going to say asset. So, that's with all of these, they're a little limited here. I want to go back to the cash flow statement, because what I want you to think about again is, where am I today? And what is the money telling me about where I am today? Does the business have enough money to cover day-to-day activities? And this is the cash flow statement. Does the business have enough money to pay debts on time? Can I maintain and grow the business without, with this cash flow that I have? And do I need more working capital? Do I need loan payment? Like, how can I adjust my loan payments? It's going to help you show what that looks like. Now, we have a great resource for you here with that. It's a cash flow statement that is offered by SCORE. The link will be in the chat in just a minute, or in our comments there. There it is, the bit.ly there. Thank you. It's a 12-month cash flow statement. Now, SCORE is a resource for you. They are a bunch of mentors who will come in, and you can sit down with them and learn from them about how to run a business. I have found SCORE to be very helpful in templates. Their website, score.org, score.org, is full of templates, and really good ones too. So here's a template that I want you to think about incorporating into your business. It's a 12-month cash flow statement, and you can see here, this is, and I just took a little screenshot here, so this is not even the whole of it, but what you can see is it tells you where you started, and it gives you a sense as to where you have some payments on purchases and outside services, and then it's going to have in other parts of it revenue that's coming in. And so you can project out, what are the expenses going to be? And then as the months that you're spending them, you can get a sense of, all right, do I need to make more money? Do I not? Where am I spending too much money? Oh, I did this once with a client, and she was renting a space that was really, really expensive. And what we found by doing a cash flow statement was, okay, I as the business owner, I'm making enough money. It's all of this money is coming in, but I can't figure out where it's going because I seem to have none of it by the end of the month. And so when we went through all of her expenses, they were all fairly reasonable except for the rent line. And that rent line was about, I would say, 2/3 of the amount of money that she was bringing in the month. And so we had to think really hard about, all right, is that space necessary to her business? And that's a personal choice. That's something that I, as a business owner, can't make for her, but she has to really think about, is this worth it? Because I either need to make more money so that I can afford the space, or I need to get rid of it so I can actually just keep doing the work that I'm doing and then make more money by the end of the month. So the cash flow statement can be really helpful in determining what and where we spend our money. So there's a resource for you. You're going to leave with lots of resources. My plan is to overwhelm you with resources. All right. So step 4, accessing capital. So we're kind of reaching the end here. We're only halfway through the hour, but that's okay because this is where it gets really meaty. So when we think about capital, oftentimes we'll hear lots of different types of capital. We'll hear, banks, and we'll hear equity, and we'll hear venture capital, and we'll hear crowdfunding and grants. And so what is a reality to small business at this point? So if you're thinking 2 years out, where should I be going for funding? Well, the reality is, for most of our small businesses, there are really 2 options for us. There's debt financing and equity financing. And so when you think of these 2, you have to think about, what is your business and which one of these is going to be right for your specific business. So I'll go through these 2 here, and then we can take an example and run it through which one might actually be better for this business. So when we think about debt capital, this is where you go to a lender like a bank, like JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America, and you ask them for money, and they say, I will give you money, which you will repay over a period of time with interest. And so that's debt capital. It can come in lots of different ways. It can come in through a term loan. It can come in through another type of loan. It can come in through credit cards. But what it is it's, again, borrowing for a certain amount of time and then promising to repay it with interest. That is our debt capital. So the key here is there's a difference between debt and equity. When you own ownership shares in your business, that is equity, which means you give up a portion of your business to the person who is giving you money. So I put a house for debt and a unicorn for equity because that is oftentimes who we are looking for when we are going for equity. And so right here, there's lots of different ways that you can bring on partners, issuing stocks or giving money and portion of the business. If your business is successful, the investors are likely going to see a return on investment. That's why they invest in your business. So with debt, you're really working with a company. With equity, sometimes it can be in the form of a company, but sometimes it can just be a form of partnerships of people who say, for this amount of money, you will give me 25% of your business. We see equity when we see Shark Tank. So if you're not sure, what's debt, what's equity, Shark Tank is an equity investment. And so oftentimes when people say, let's think Barbara Corcoran is out there saying, I'm going to give you $200,000 for 40% of your business. That is an equity deal. And when people are saying, okay, 40% of my business, is it really worth that $200,000 when they could get debt possibly for $200,000 and not lose 40% of their business? Because if they win, if their business blows up and becomes really impactful and makes a lot of money, Barbara's going to get a lot of it just for investing money and not actually running the part of the business. So debt versus equity, when we are in this space and we're thinking about the two, we really want to think about what types of business are better for debt versus equity. Equity is typically a business that is unicorn, right? So it's the type of business that is the Ubers of the world, the Lyft, the company that is going to change the world because it's a typical hockey stick growth is what, where the investor is going to get it. When you think of a hockey stick or a check mark, the investor wants to buy it when it's low, and then they're going to want to see it go way up really fast. But most of our businesses that keep us going every single day aren't in like crazy fast growth. Most of us are in just managed typical growth. And equity investors are not interested in us, unfortunately, because they want crazy, crazy money back. And so that means they're not really interested in just kind of the everyday business. There are some exceptions to everything I'm saying here, but generally I want you to think about when you're thinking about now getting some money for your business, probably going down the debt route. All right, so that's what we're going to focus on today. And I want to give you some really obtainable debt options here. These are ones that I talk about until the day is long because I find they're really in your best interest as a small business owner. You are going to come into lots of different opportunities to do business with lots of different banks or banks. And I want you to think about a few things when you are doing this. And we'll get to the pro tips in a minute, but I want you to think about these three options to really investigate them before you go anywhere else when you're thinking about debt financing. First, and is Kiva loans. And Kiva is a great, you can just Google Kiva, it'll pop right back up. It's a crowdfunding option, but it's a crowdfunding that doesn't only rely on your friends and family. It relies on a community support. So it's really great in obtaining small dollar amounts from $1,000 to $15,000, but it's 0% interest and 0% fees. They really are about community funding options. And I just see a comment in here from Jeremy about any opinions about sharing crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter. So, I really want to say the crowdfunding can be incredibly impactful if you have a strong network. And what you want to do is if you want to invest in a crowdfunding like Kickstarter, and there's lots of other ones that are out there, but if you do not have a wide, vast, maybe wealthy is questionable. You can get a lot of small dollar amount and really make a big difference. But you want to really think about, do you have that network to support it? Because the worst thing you can do is get out there and say, I need $100,000 for my business, and then only end up with 5,000, because you will have spent so much time and energy in that piece of it instead of getting your business to a good place where you could ask for that for a loan from a business. So my preference is to really work with these CDFIs and credit unions, which we'll talk about in a minute, over crowdfunding options. But if you have the network, go for it. Absolutely. What I like about Kiva as a crowdfunding option is, like I said, there's a small bit of responsibility of your friends and family, but Kiva helps tell your story to people other than you. So you can get lenders from across the world who will give you $25 and help you get to that larger loan. They're really invested in you and telling your story. So some of that work of how do I communicate my business and what this loan will do for my business, some of that is taken on by the people who help Kiva run. Now, in the Charlotte area, the Kiva hub is run by Self-Help Credit Union. And so you do have a local resource here to help you figure out if Kiva might be right for you. So speaking of self-help, I'm actually going to move over to the next one with CDFIs. CDFI is a short version of Community Development Financial Institution. So this is the lingo in the economic development biz, CDFI. But if I were to come to you and say, what is a CDFI? I guarantee you would not know, and you probably wouldn't care. So if I were to translate that into a way that makes sense to you, it would be, this is a bank that cares about you as a human being and really is invested in your success as a small business owner, because your success means economic development success in your area. And so CDFIs are mission-based lenders. They are nonprofit lenders who have money granted from the Treasury Department. So it's a banking designation. They have money to give out to small businesses. But the thing that makes it different from the larger banks is they will help you prepare your loan, and they really are invested in your success. So CDFIs will typically have people that they call technical assistance providers, so basically advisors who will sit down with you and say, how much do you need? What are all those financial documents? And instead of zipping through the lines of questions that we had at the beginning of this presentation, they will sit down and slowly go through this with you, holding your hand, making sure that you feel successful in this process. Really, this is kind of meant to be a stopgap between where you are now and getting banked by a big bank, because ultimately CDFIs want to move you to the larger banks of the world, because then you'll start building even more so that business credit side of it. But sometimes that's just not attainable to us as small businesses and in our first 2 to 4 to 5, sometimes 10 years of business. So CDFIs fill that gap. They offer smaller dollar loans, typically under $100,000 or less. Sometimes around $30,000 to $50,000. So what you want to do is you really want to have a good sense when you are doing this work and you're looking for a loan as to what type of loan you're looking for, what it's going to do for your business, and how much money you need. Because how much money you need kind of depends on where you're going to end up going. Anything under $100,000 is going to be, you're going to really want to head to a CDFI. The next slide will show you some local CDFI resources so you can reach out to them, but also Self-Help Credit Union at selfhelp.org. They are the ones who can help you with that as well. They are a CDFI local to Charlotte. So third, after CDFIs, we have our community banks and credit unions. They're just a little bit more willing to work with people who have a little bit less of a credit score ideal, and they really do want to help out their communities as well. So community banks and credit unions, they build on relationships. And a lot of working with Kiva and our community development financial institutions, our CDFIs, and our community banks and credit unions, they're going to want to work with you because you're a small business in Charlotte that cares about its community and that wants to build something here. And so they want to be invested in you. So these are the three organizations that I think really are going to be there for you at the beginning. These are our local CDFI resources. I pulled this from the government website that can help you locate CDFIs in the area. So these are all ones that were active in 2022. There's a ton of CDFIs out there, but you really want to think about ones that are nearby and active. They've received money either to give out money for loans for small businesses or to work one-on-one to help you get ready for loans for small businesses. So this is not an exhaustive list, but these are just a few that came up in North Carolina that I thought you might be interested in seeing. All right, so moving right along, I want to give you a few kind of insider tips before we move along to the next route here. So when we're thinking about accessing capital, again, anchoring in, I need it 2 years from now. What are we going to do if I need it 2 years from now? I'm going to separate my business and personal finances. I'm going to build my business credit. I am going to make sure that I have, some financial statements which tell me information about my business. And I'm going to kind of make sure that I'm getting to the right place for the type of loan I want and the amount of loan that I want. So going beyond that, I have 3 tips for you that I want you to consider. Now, this comes from 10 years of working in government policy around small business loans and advocacy related to those loans, and then working with small business owners and helping them get loans for their business. If I were to boil those 10 years of experience down into 3 tips, here's my first one. The first one is find a way to meet a small business banker in an informal setting. Bankers love to network. Chambers are great opportunities to meet bankers because they want to make sure, particularly if they are CDFIs or community banks, they want to make sure that they meet you and they help their community. Now, I mention this because it's all about creating a relationship. The business bankers want a relationship with you. They want to meet you when you don't want a loan because they want to make sure that they can help you through that loan when it is time. The worst thing that one could do is to go into a business bank, go into a bank and say, I needed this money yesterday. I'm desperate. My hair's on fire, because they're not going to be able to do anything to help you. So prepare, meet someone, create a relationship, check in on them, see how their kids are doing if they're in the neighborhood. We have somebody that we've worked with in Chicago who I've worked with for the past 4 years. This business banker is in our little village neighborhood, super reliable. He's been here for, like I said, for the past 4 years. I've seen him get married. He has 2 kids now. I hear the baby on the phone. We're getting to know each other, and, I don't need him for a business loan, but he comes to me oftentimes and will say, all right, who in the area is seeking funding right now? And so if I have a relationship with somebody who I know is looking for it, then I can make that connection. And all of these relationships build into the what we call the 5 C's of credit, which is what lenders look at. All those questions that they asked at the beginning of this presentation. What do we need here to make sure that the person we are lending to is a reliable person who's going to pay it back on time? And character is a big part of it. So create a relationship with a banker when you don't need it. So that's tip number 1. Now, I will say one thing that's really important here that is an underlying fact is I want you to know your business banker. I don't want you to have to go online and do an online loan. Sometimes those fintech companies, which is financial technology lenders, sometimes they can be great and they can get you a loan quick right when you need it. But sometimes the fine print is really, really tricky and doesn't work in your favor. So the best way to protect yourself against predatory lending and predatory loans is knowing the banker in front of you. So build that relationship. Pro tip number 2 is do your homework. The questions at the beginning of this presentation, if you can answer those before you walk into a bank and meet with your lender, if you are ready for that, they will be thoroughly impressed and you will make their job so much easier in giving you a loan. And that's the goal here, is you want to make it so easy for them to give you a loan that they want to work with you and they want to help you, grow your business over time. And they want to give you that loan in order to do that. So you have to do your homework. Take on the responsibility yourself to know, what do you need the money for? How much money do you need? How long will it take you to pay it back? Do you need a shorter loan or a longer loan? What is the current financial shape of your business? Those financial statements will tell you that. How long have you been in business? How much collateral, if any, do you have to put up for the loan? And by collateral, because I haven't defined that yet, it's if you don't pay back the loan, what is it that the bank can then take in exchange for your loan? Some people put up homes, some people put up other cars. If you're a bakery, sometimes the equipment in the bakery can go up as collateral. But really kind of what is it that I can exchange if I cannot pay back the loan? Something happens and I can't pay back the loan. Being ready to answer that question is really important. Almost every bank I know requires collateral for these loans. Another question, how quickly do you need the money? And what type of debt financing are you looking for? So really thinking about those questions ahead of time and doing your homework and coming prepared will go a long way into actually getting that loan. And you've got 2 years, right? You don't need your loan until 2 years from now. So you've got that time to really lead up and build your files for this meeting. The third tip here is where I get warning here for you is quick money is almost never good money. So be really careful. That ties back to do your homework. That ties back to creating a relationship with your banker. Quick money is almost never good money. It comes with high interests. It comes with high fees. It may have super tiny print there if you need something quickly. And I have seen people who have come in asking for a $10,000 loan, got the loan from a financial tech provider, then missed one payment and it blew up 800% because they missed one payment because they didn't read the fine print. So you can get in really big trouble if we don't pay attention to the fine print. And sometimes the quick money is the time when we are not paying attention to that fine print. So please, please be careful. Quick money is almost never good money. Know your banker and do your homework. All right, I am shifting over from doomsday to fun. My job, my day job is to support business owners as they start up and grow. And so one of the things that I find when I work with small business owners is they have no idea that resources exist out there to support them. The organization I work for has been around for 37 years. And almost every day I get someone who said, man, I wish I would have known you were here 10 years ago. Those of us who work nonprofit economic development organizations, we don't have a marketing budget. So we can't really get out there and talk about all the great work that we're doing and all the workshops we have out there and the resources we have for you. So my apologies, but I am going to tell you about them today. So you're here and you can learn it today. This quote here is important to me because what Sheryl Sandberg says here is really, really important for you to take in and embody as you go through your small business journey. And it's about power. I mean, the power that we have as individuals. And what she says here, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. Don't be afraid to ask for help, advice, or support. It's essential to success. Absolutely. I could not underline that enough times. Ask for help. We are here to support you. And so let me tell you about some of the business supports that are out there. When I think about business support for entrepreneurs, I kind of put it into two buckets. This is just the Lindsay way of thinking. Lots of other ways it can be done. But I think about it in terms of education as well as advising and coaching. So what you want to think about is, what do you really need? Okay? And how would you like to get there? So if you're looking for a loan 2 years from now, how are you going to get ready for that loan? Do you want to attend some workshops? Do you want to learn from other individuals? Do you want to, I do cohorts of individuals, like 10, 20 people who get together to learn about various business topics. Or do you want one-on-one individual support where one advisor is just working with you? There are loads of benefits to both. And really, it's just what type of a person are you today, right now, because it may change tomorrow. So let me tell you a little bit about the education support that economic development organizations can do for you. So really, what our goal is to make sure that you know about the options that are available to you. This is one of the workshops that I would put under the education bucket. One of the things that we really enjoy about the meeting style of Zooms is that you get everyone up on the screen and we start sharing information with each other. So I'm a baker, but yet I learn from the person who's in tech and who's building an ed tech company. There are similar things within business that we find if you're in the same business stage that you can teach each other. And these education support areas are great places to learn from others. So really thinking about, who do you identify with? Where can you find them? What can be most supportive of you in your journey here? That is really along the education piece of it. I think a lot about, women, how I identify as a woman. And so I want to work and be in rooms with other powerful women. So when I look for education resources, I'm going to look for some that are supporting women or even moms in business. And so where can I search and find that? On the other side here, we have advising and coaching. Advising and coaching, they're actually two very different things, but our organizations often provide both of them. Advising is specific to what are the next steps I need to take in order to reach whatever goal I have. So I need to do A, B, C, and D, kind of like I did today. We need to do these 4 things in order for you to move forward. That is business advising. And your local organizations do have that support for you, where you can sit down, no cost, and meet with someone to support you on that journey. Coaching is along the similar lines, but sometimes we get stuck in our head. And coaching is really all about, how in the world do I get out of my head and moving forward? How do I deal with this difficult situation? And a coach's job is to sit on the outside, listen to you talk and say, I'm noticing these themes. Maybe we can work through them and move you forward that way. So that is coaching that is available oftentimes through these nonprofits. I do one-on-one coaching as well. And really, we are an accountability partner. We're an encourager. We're here to be a part of your journey. We're also here to hold you accountable and keep you moving forward. So when you're thinking about, all right, I'm going to get this loan, where should I go to learn more? Education or advising? Think about both. And this is where I'm going to move to the next screen and actually call on my support from the library here to talk a little bit more about how the Charlotte Library can be helpful here. Mark?
Sure. Thanks, Lindsay. So a couple of resources that I think are really important is, first, just know how to get to the Charlotte Library resources. Simply go to cmlibrary.org. You'll see 9 colored squares and one says resources. Click on that. That's going to give you a large list of resources. You can't edit your resources based on the topic which you're researching. So obviously tonight we're refining it down to small business and funding. One of the jump off points I'd like to talk about is the Library Live Guide. It's actually it's a site that we created specifically that guides you right to what are my next steps as I'm working through developing a small business idea. And literally, you just go from one tab to the next. The first tab is where do I start, and it has all the resources provided by the library that you can just one click, whether it's checking out a book, watching a video, or accessing a training session such as this to find out what you need to get started. You can explore types of businesses, business planning, even things for how do I get support during COVID. So there's a lot of resources all packed into this one space, into this Library Live Guide. The other one I'd like to point out is also Data Access, also formerly Reference USA. This is a great database for just looking at what are the markets look like, and you can actually say, well, in this zip code, I want to start a dry cleaning business. You could actually do a search and kind of see, well, what's the market saturation of that particular type of business in a particular area. So if you know, well, that's not a great area because there's already plenty of businesses. Oh, but on this other side of the county that I hadn't even thought of, there's nothing out there. There's kind of a desert for this service. Maybe there's an opportunity to grow out there. So it's one of the little many ways you can kind of use these different databases to kind of see exactly what direction you want to take things. And then lastly, I wanted to point out the Entrepreneur Database. And this is a great way to access just articles in industry journals for business owners and entrepreneurs and people getting started, so that you don't have to subscribe to all the magazines. You can get access to all the great information free from the library. So if there's a specific topic or something new that's coming up or a hot new thing, this is a great place for you to go read those articles without actually having to buy the magazines. Again, your taxpayers pay for library services. You might as well utilize that to help minimize the cost to your business. Those are the three I wanted to touch on, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. And I have to say, I have used the Data Excel before, and I've worked with many business owners who have. And the wows I get from when they use that is just really phenomenal. So I highly recommend these resources, especially the Data Excel one, formerly Reference USA. That one is really, really powerful. So I want to talk about two more resources here. One more thing about the Data Excel piece is one of the top reasons why small businesses do not survive past 2 years is market fit. And so do we actually have market fit for what we are trying to do? And so that Data Excel can help tell us, do people actually need what we're doing? Are there businesses that are actually out there doing it? Where are they located? It can help get to that problem. All right, so those are the library's resources. I want to let you know about two other resources that you have in your area. Small Business Development Centers, you have an SBTDC in the area, which is a small business tech development center, which is even more special than an SBDC. And they can do the one-on-one advising for no cost. So please make sure, just Google it. It comes right up and you'll be able to meet someone there. Just fill out an intake form which says what your business is, how you need help, and then they will assign you to an advisor. And then you can look at other resources like webinars and cohorts that they may provide. And SBDCs are all across the United States. We run multiple ones in Chicago, and really phenomenal resources and people working for them. Sometimes they're former business owners, sometimes they have specialized expertise. And so leaning into that, it's I found it very helpful and really fun to be a part of that type of a team. Another one is the Women's Business Center. So when I was talking about what kind of identity do you identify with, and are there organizations out there that exist that support that identity? So the Women's Business Centers, also located in your area, will have specific resources for women and making sure that they are that they're accessible to you as well. There are other minority development business centers as well, and lots of local chambers, community development corporations that can be helpful to you in your business journey. But I know these 3 are free. And that's really what I care about right now is let's get you to the resources that are no cost to you so that you don't have to spend money when I'm not sure how much you're bringing in right now. So I wanted to leave you again with one resource around here. This is your SBTDC, which is located in Charlotte. I was just messing around on their website, enjoying all the fun stuff they have about businesses there, and found this business startup guide, and it is phenomenal. 50 some pages, step by step, what you need to be doing. Highly recommend you take a look at it. You can download it, print it out, take notes on it. But it's a local resource that really tells you about what you should be doing when you start up a business. And I pulled out here page 46, which is all about business financing. It talks about the 5 C's of credit, gives you information about marketing, lots of resources here. And so I highly recommend you go to this link that we shared here so that you can really think about if you're starting a business, what are the steps you need to take? If you've already started a business, did you miss anything? They probably have it in this guide. So definitely take a look at that. So we've reached the end. Thank you for sitting through this with me. I hope this was helpful. I want to review the 4 things that we talked about today amongst all the other things. If you are looking for financing for your business, plan it out 2 years in advance. So start here now. Keep those business finances separate. Check your credit. Set up and track your business financial statements, and then choose the right path for you when it comes to where you're going to go for a lender. Make sure that you know them. Start building that relationship today. Make sure you do your homework around that lender, and make sure that it's not going quick. If it's going quick, it might be a problem. So let's slow it down. Let's get that right financing for you so that you can be successful and grow from here. And this is where I wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time today. This is my email. In case you're interested, you're more than welcome to email me. And I think that's it. So I'm going to just turn it over to Mark here, and we can see what questions may have come through.
Yeah, so Lindsay, I think we're going to jump back to one of your slides, or you can probably just do it off the top of your head. We had a question come in from Samba. I don't currently have a business, but I have a business idea that needs funding to get started. How should I go about accessing capital to start a new business? History or records? What all do I need? I know you just kind of went through a whole lot of stuff for us.
Yes.
But I thought those 3 points of doing your research, doing your homework, and knowing your banker and no quick money were really good tips if you want to review that for Samba.
Yeah. So Samba, one of the things that I think is important for you to consider here is what do you need it for? Because when the banks look at your business here, they're going to say, is there another place that she could get funding for it? Sometimes you can go through an incubator and it comes with a grant. Sometimes we can go to friends and family first. Some of us don't have that available to us, so it's not necessarily an available option, but banks are going to be very hesitant to lend to new businesses with no business history. They typically look at 2 years or more when they're looking at funding. So that's why I'm saying plan for 2 years. Is there any way you can get enough customers to just get started? Now, with some ideas, it's possible. Some ideas, it's not. If it's a big tech dream, then maybe equity financing is the way to get that started. But really thinking about what is it that you need it for? How much do you need? And how can you prove that out? I hope that answered your question. You can reach out to me if you want to talk further.
Thank you, Lindsay. We also had a question about, is there an ideal formula for your percentage of cash on hand, inventory, and debt, or does it just depend on kind of what the market is and what your resources are?
Yeah, it totally depends. There are recommended KPIs per industry. So KPI, again, key performance indicators per your industry. Some of those resources can be found through business advisors, like at your SBDC. They might be able to find that. You might be able to research it online too. But I have found that those percentages really are dependent on industry and business and what you care about. Because what one person in your industry may care about might be different from what you care about. So it's very different per business. So that's a non-answer answer for you.
And you mentioned Profit First, but aside from that one, are there 3 other books you might recommend, or what other books would you might recommend for someone who's just getting
Well, let
started?
me see off my back here. I usually keep my business books right back here. So highly recommend E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. That is a great way to think about business. And I find it very validating because E-Myth talks about how many of us who start businesses are technicians. So we're really good at the thing that we're good at. But then the rest of the business stuff we're not necessarily good at. So then how do then we become good at it? And he walks you through a model that works for him. It's come highly recommended by a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business advisors. So E-Myth Revisited is really great as well. Mindset by Carol Dweck is also really helpful. It's not necessarily a business book, but it really is interesting when it comes to what mindset am I in right now? And are there things that are making me feel the way I feel? And how can I work through those triggers? So Mindset's another great book. Let me turn back to people love Jim Collins's Good to Great. I have not yet read it. It is on my to be read book pile here. And if you're a manager of individuals, this one actually came up earlier this week in an advising session I had. It's called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And Radical Candor is a really phenomenal way of managing individuals and making sure that they understand that they're cared for, but they still need to do the job. And being able to communicate that in a true way to yourself and to them. The book has been recommended by many, many people to me, and I have found it very helpful myself. So there's 3 for you. I could go on forever, but
Well, thank you. I think that definitely gets us going. And then one person just commented on the very scary list of all the things you might need for going in and pursuing that bank loan.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any advice you might have for that person other than just, make sure you have your ducks in a row and maybe get an advisor? Is there kind of one key thing to maybe take a little bit of that off, or is it good to be scared a little bit so you're being cautious?
You know what? When I think about the 4 things we just covered, separate your business and personal finances, make sure that you're building your credit, setting up some sort of system for financial statements, and understanding the path toward a loan. Of those 4, because let's narrow it down to those 4, separating your business and personal finances is number 1. That is the first thing you need to do, because you cannot be successful if you grow your business and commingle those finances. So if I were to give you any place to start, boil down this conversation to one takeaway, it would be separate your business and personal finances. Now, I have loads of advice for if you've already done that, but that is the one thing that will keep you from getting a loan. You need to do that.
And then we had one last question about credit. And do you have any comments about how someone who has maybe had some credit challenges can repair their credit?
Yeah, so you can do that yourself. You don't have to hire anyone to do it. And I've often found that when people say that they are credit repair companies, that it's paying for something that you could just do yourself. So credit repair, when we think back to the credit, I want to try and find it here. Building your credit. Let me pull that right back up so that we can look at that easily. When we think about building your credit, right now we have, knowing your score, understanding your utilization rate, and paying bills on time. So The way you do it is really look at where is your money being spent, and what are the various elements of your credit score, and where's the negative, like where within all of those. So I have Credit Karma in my head right now because that's what I personally use. Credit Karma has very clear boxes. These are the things that are being considered when you're looking at your credit. You have $10,000 of credit to your name on a credit card. You are using $9,907 in that part. Your utilization is 99.9%. That to me can be addressed. And that is something that you individually can be addressed by slowly paying down that debt. And by focusing on that, you're going to bring your credit score up. And the nice thing about Credit Karma is it'll send you little messages saying, hey, your credit score just went up. Nice job. As well as the paying bills on time. That is something immediately you can remedy by setting stuff on automatic payments. Those two are the most impactful, along with hard inquiries that you can immediately deal with and start to repair. Sometimes there are organizations, I know there are some CDFIs, or those community development financial institutions, which have loans specifically to build your credit up. And I know, there's one in Chicago called they're Allies for Community Business. They just changed their name. But what they do is they have $1,000 loan. And on that $1,000 loan, you don't get any of the money, but they report to the credit bureau that you got it, that you paid it back. It goes into a bank account. I don't know all the logistics, but it's specifically there to build your credit. So I would go to self-help. I would go to local CDFIs in Charlotte to say, do you have any business building or personal credit building products, and see what they can do to help you build that credit utilization rate. So those are a few suggestions I'd have there.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, those are the questions we have for tonight. Is there anything you'd want to say in wrap up, or just share with our audience tonight?
Yeah, I know it's overwhelming. It's incredibly overwhelming to run a business. The best advice I can give you is find a guide. Have someone who can be your accountability partner, whether it's a friend, a business advisor. Find somebody who can do that for you, and then make a plan, because there's lots of different ways to approach your business. Everyone's going to do it differently. Everybody's going to have an opinion about how you're going to do it. But what matters most is what you think you need to do, and then going and doing it. So just start a plan, but find a buddy so you're not doing it alone. Build your team.
Thank you, Lindsay. I really appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for those of you who are watching from home, thank you for joining us. Tomorrow night, we have another Smart Money Smart Week event. We're going to be focusing on the truth of obtaining financial support for your nonprofit startup. So if you're interested in going down that road, we'll have Kim Roseborough speaking with us about that tomorrow evening at the same time, same channel. You guys have a good night. Thanks for joining us.